Hi everyone. Today I'm just going to be sharing with you some quick tips on some principles of accessibility when it comes to designing your web pages. So for this, I generated a sample document, and right off the bat, we can see some issues with contrast. So we have this bright yellow background going on with the black text, some hot pink and red going on. Not a great color combo if you're going for contrast. Contrast is really important when designing for web accessibility, especially for people with low contrast sensitivity. So people like who are colorblind or older sometimes have trouble differentiating between different colors. So the red and the pink don't go great together here. So on my updated version, I chose to go with a darker teal color on a beige background. And generally, we want to use a darker font on a lighter background because it makes it much easier to read. And I did the same thing down here with the white background and the black text. If you scroll down to my buttons, so the ones on this web page, very difficult to read unless you scroll over them. You might even miss them because they're that light blue color on the yellow background. So for my updated version, if you scroll down here, we have this nice dark blue background that stands out, but it's not neon. And we have the white text that makes it show up a little bit easier. We want to keep the hover color different from the original so that people know it's a clickable item on your web page. And we also want to make sure this web page in particular doesn't have a nav bar, but if it did, and you had other buttons, you want to make sure that they were kind of distinguishable from each other so people knew kind of the difference and were able to navigate your site a little bit better. If you look down to the text itself, so this page is it's really hard to read at first glance. It's all kind of one chunk. So there's this big paragraph and a little one. This isn't great for cognitive accessibility, so for people with attention disorders, things like that, who might have a harder time consuming all of that content at once. We want to give their eyes a bit of a break and break up this text as much as we can. Makes it a lot easier to read and kind of take in at once. So we have these kind of chunked up now a little bit better. For the font, you'll notice that we have this Comic Sans. Even if, just for a basic design principle, Comic Sans on your webpage is probably not the move. So I went with a simple sans serif font for my header and my body text. Keeping a really simple undecorated font for your body text is really important for screen readers especially, because they'll pick up on any kind of font decoration and it'll make it a little bit harder to read. So with your header, you have some leeway, but for your body text, you're going to make sure it's as simple as possible. And then always make sure you're adding alt text to your images. So if we go into the HTML on my original, I don't have any alt text down here. And if we go to the updated version, I have this simple alt text down the bottom. And a general rule for alt text is you want to keep it short and simple, but make sure that you're providing sufficient context so the screen reader kind of knows what's up. But if I kept writing, so I kind of give a whole biography of this dude, that's too much information the screen reader doesn't need. We want to keep it nice and simple. So this should be enough. And you guys have had practice writing alt text all semester, so I didn't think that would be a problem. But I just thought I'd go over it just in case. So this is the finished product. So again, lots of contrast. We also added some extra padding in. If you look at the original, so we have the text right up against that line. And padding really just helps with legibility. So if you take a quick glance at this web page, it's much easier to read. You can kind of separate the headings much easier than if everything's kind of crammed in. So a lot less busy, easier to read, which is really important with web accessibility. If you have any questions about what I talked about in the video, please feel free to email me. Otherwise, I hope you have a great rest of the semester.